Hey guys, I'm Big Mike, and like always, I'd like to thank you for being here today. Today we have a webinar talking about the new features recently developed in Sierra Chart. The webinar is sponsored by CTS. Brian from CTS is going to have the first 5 minutes or so of the webinar to just very briefly talk about the products and services available at CTS and see if there's any questions. And then once that is finished, we will go to Anthony at Sierra Chart, who is going to talk about some of the new features, including the new server-side OCO and bracket order capabilities, the new support for some spread contracts from CTS, new spreadsheet functionality, some changes and new features in the attached orders, and he'll also take some questions from you guys. Like always, the webinar is being recorded. I'll post the recording on YouTube sometime tomorrow. If you're watching the recording at a later date and you like it, please do us a favor and give us a thumbs up. It does help us out. Okay, with that, give me 1 second and I'll give control to Brian to get us started. Okay, Brian, you should have the option to share your screen now.
Okay, can you see it, Anthony?
Yeah, we're seeing the main window screen with the charts and quote board, okay. Order book.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Okay. So as usual, thank you everyone for taking time out of your day to talk to us, and thank you for Big Mike for setting this up. I'm just going to take a minute. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. I'm kind of fighting off a cold, but just want to talk about one new feature that we've done recently, and then a couple of things that we have in the works. And if everyone has a quick question at the end, that'd be great too. What you see on my screen now is our chart, and one feature that we added to it recently was actually trading off the chart. So if you're familiar with our chart at all, this is just a normal 15-minute bar chart for the 10-year notes. This button right here, red and blue one, enables trading. And once that's done, you notice I see kind of some colored depth on the side. So wherever I click over there, I bring up a bar with some scrolling prices that I can move up and I can move down. And once I click my price, it enters that order for me. And I can do that at numerous prices. I could even click up here and do a stop order and so forth. And once you see those, I'll try to make this a little bigger for you. I have a choice of dragging and dropping. So if I want to change that price, I can drag that up there and change it. I can delete one order at a time, or I can use my button up here and delete them all at one time. The X's on my chart are showing my filled orders, and obviously my working orders are shown when I click up here with the box and the other cancellation. Along with this, you'll notice in the top here I see my net position in P&L. Again, it's something people have asked for over the last year or so. People that don't use the contract windows or the ladders, the domes, whatever you want to call them. You see a similar situation here, and we kind of like the idea that as you click this, you see a number of different prices. It pops up on the price you click, but you can easily scroll down and pick a different price and put that in there. So very basic, and if I slide this over, you notice everything I'm doing shows up in my order book as it normally would. So no matter where you put the order in, whether it be off a chart or off a contract ticket or off the ladder, it's still going to show up if you have your orders displayed in the charts, and you can always revise in there, or you can also revise in the order book as you normally would. A couple of things that we're working on is if any of you guys have used our mobile application before on your phone, you know it's just basically a website you go to. So we're actually going to develop that now into an actual app, and the first one we're going to deal with is Android. So I just got a beta cut of that this week. Much more stable, much more robust than our older version. You actually see a true contract ladder with all the bells and whistles that our desktop has. So I think that will be an exciting new app, and like I said, I just got that in beta, so hopefully if things go well around the first of the year, we'll be able to launch that. For those option people out there, I know I think Mike, it was a month or so ago, we did an option webinar for you guys and got some good responses for that, and we've continued to develop that further. At that time, I'm not sure we had all the UDS and RFQ capabilities that we have now, but basically giving you the ability to create any spread you want, RFQ that out to the market. It's automatically created by the exchange, and you see it on your desktop, so no reason to call the exchange or have someone else create it for you. We have a time and sales window that combines every option. Let's say you watching corn. It will show you every strike that's being traded in corn, the volume and the time that it's trading. So a very nice all-encompassing window to show all that data. We also come up with a new way of showing the sheets, and we call them multi-sheets, so I can sit there and create 3 or 4 or 5 months and scroll easily between them. Not so much a big deal if you're on a nice big desktop, but for a lot of our traders who are still on the floor and have a little mini iPad or laptop, it's a fantastic feature to fit a lot of sheets into a small amount of space. And probably our last development, which many of you guys fast forward in the past, it keeps kind of getting pushed back in the scope of things, has been our auto spreader. We have made progress with that. It is out in beta right now that I'm messing with, and I have a few test people that are playing with. And again, kind of on the same timeline as our Android app. We hope to have that out end of the year, beginning of this year as well. So if there's those of you out there like to beta test that or be involved in that in any way, shape, or form, you can certainly reach out to me at Brian at ctsfutures.com and let me know your interest level there, and I can try to get some people set up with that beta testing. But that's it in a nutshell, kind of what we have going on. A new feature being the chart trading, and a handful of new things we have coming out at the beginning of the year or early next year. And that wraps up my intro. If you want to ask me a few questions, Mike, I don't know how much time we have. Anthony wants to get started, but I have a few minutes if you guys want to ask me a couple of questions. If not, Anthony's free to get started.
Okay, so let's see if anybody has questions for Brian for CTS before we go. So the Android app interests me. Do you happen to know how it would handle, like, can you be logged in both on the desktop and the Android app simultaneously and be able to manipulate positions either side, and everything is still tracked properly, or how does that work?
Yeah, everything is definitely tracked properly, no matter where you put something in our system, whether it's off a browser version, the mobile version, or the desktop version. Everything's synced to the same SQL server, so no matter where you put it in, where you revise it, it's going to show up in all 3 places, so that's not a problem. Due to some of the new CME market data rules, if your audience has been following those, and I believe I'm right in saying that technically we don't allow a mobile and a desktop to be logged in at the same time, because we can't track that, and technically they want to call that 2 users, who then turn around and potentially calls you 2 different sets of market data fees. So as of right now, no. They're still kind of looking at some of those rules. They have a new program they have coming out, they call a netting program, that might allow people to log on multiple occasions at one time with only being charged 1 fee. So if things like that change, we might be able to change that rule.
Okay, very good. All right, so if anybody has any other questions, or if they're watching the recording, then they can just send you an email, Brian at ctsfutures.com, right?
That's perfect.
All right, man. Thanks, Brian. So now let me give the control to Anthony. And let's see.
Okay. Can you hear me okay, Mike?
Yep, we can hear you.
Let me just get the screen clean option. Okay, so that should be good. Then I'll just head over to Sierra Chart and...
okay, we got it.
Okay.
Looks good.
Okay, and I see one question that says, well, let me actually just detach this question here, make it bigger. Someone's saying they're not getting any audio, but anyway, they'll need to check that on their side.
There's always someone. It works fine.
Okay. One question is, will Sierra pay attention to posts on BMT about improvements and suggestions? We don't really spend too much time on the Big Mike trading forum, so we're not aware of everything there. And someone's asking about the company structure of Sierra. Well, we're a team of about 4 to 5 developers right now, and we all contribute to the development. So what I'd like, okay, I'm just trying to think about what feature, and I want to thank CTS for the opportunity to present Sierra Chart. And let me just move this. I should have had multiple monitors set up. I only got one monitor on my system now, but I'll just drag this thing out of the way. So one feature, this is not a new feature, but I just want to cover it. Right now I'm just switching over to a daily bar chart here, and if I go into the chart settings window, I click CS up on the toolbar, and then if I click advanced settings, one feature we have is a continuous futures contract feature, which will join multiple futures contracts into one in the chart. And there are several options available. The rollover can be based upon a date rule, which is already pre-programmed. The rollover can be based upon based upon when the volume increases from one contract to the next. And then both of those have back adjustment options. So, for example, I'll go ahead and for the ES futures, I'll select date rule, rollover, back adjusted. Okay, and then I'll click OK. So what we have here, so this, let me just close this time and sales window. So we have a chart of the ES futures, and you'll notice there's vertical lines drawn across the chart, and by the vertical line at the bottom, like here at the bottom left, you'll see the contract month and year. So this is March 2014, then we go to June, then September, then to December. And that can be displayed by selecting chart. And then there's an option here, show rollover dates. Okay. And I'm going to go, so that turned it off, and then I'll just go back to chart and enable show rollover dates. And this is actually back adjusted. Up here near the top left of the chart, it says CB. C means continuous and B means back adjusted. And the back adjustment calculations are automatically done. Okay, now I'm going to switch to a 5-minute intraday chart here. I have the trade window attached to the left of the chart, and I also got the depth of market here on the right side. And hopefully I can get an order in. Yeah, well, I'm seeing the markets trading now. This is a 15-minute delay chart. Actually, it's a 30-minute delay chart. Okay, let me go ahead and get an order in quickly. So I'll just click the 2 button to change the quantity to 2. Now, what I'm going to demonstrate is the server-side bracket orders. So I have this option here, use attached orders enabled, and I've got a target and a stop set up. They're 10 ticks. From the parent price, and I'll just go ahead and I'm going to click buy market. This is the order ticket. That doesn't make sense. Let me see. It should be enabled, but I'm not sure why it's giving me that. This warning here says you must stay connected until the main order is fully filled. That wouldn't apply in the case of CTS now that this is server-side managed, and I can confirm that. So I'm going to, well, actually what I'm going to do, I think I know why that's the case, because it's a market order. Okay, let me go ahead and put a limit order, and that's the only way I can clearly demonstrate it. Okay, that makes sense. So I'm going to put buy limit in. Okay, that warning no longer shows up. This is the order ticket, and I'm going to click yes. So the middle order is our entry order, and then at the top we've got our target order, and then at the bottom this is the stop order. Okay. So now this is actually all sent as one unit, as one set of orders, these 3 orders over to CTS, and we can tell that it's a server-side bracket. If I go to the trade menu and select trade orders and positions, okay, so this is our order book window. These orders in yellow here at the top are the open orders. Okay, so we have 3 of them. We have our original entry order here, the limit, and then we have, which is a buy. Then we have our target, and then the stop order. The quantity is 2. Now we can tell they're server-side brackets because of, if we look at last order action source, we can see here, this is the entry order. This it says new because, you know, that's when a new order is submitted, it'll say new. But this one here, which is a limit, it says suspended. Okay, and it says, you know, here at the end, order held, and the stop order up here is also suspended. So this is how you can confirm that this is a server-side bracket and the orders are being held by CTS. So this is a really nice feature. I mean, now you can just submit, you know, a whole bracket order and then just log off, you know, just shut down Sierra Chart and you know it's working on CTS.
So, Anthony, if I can I get just a little clarification, because this, sure. we traded some emails, I think, about this. It's happening to me, not with CTS, but with Interactive Brokers. If I want the OCO attached orders for the profit target and the stop loss to be server side, but I want to keep them local until the entry order is filled, only because my understanding is if they all three go live, and I don't ever get filled on the entry order, but the market moves to either the profit target or the stop loss order, those are live and they would get filled, even though the order that those are supposed to be attached to never got filled. Does that make sense?
Well, in the case of you know, your case, you were asking about Interactive Brokers, and you know that's
it's a different
CTS works. They both work in the same way. The two child orders, the target and the stop, although they're sent and they may look like they're open, because we just use the word open on them.
Right.
Maybe we should change that word to something else, but it doesn't say pending child because that has a special meaning within the Sierra Chart. Although they say open, they're being held and they're inactive. In this case, on the CTS side, same thing with Interactive Brokers.
Okay, so if the market traded through it, I wouldn't get filled on those.
No.
Not until the entry order is filled. Okay.
No, I mean, I can pull this. Well, you can tell. I mean, if yeah, I mean, I can just pull this sell limit down. Nothing's going to happen. Of course, the market just closed anyway.
Okay, I see. I was getting confused because it looked like it was live, you know, on the market, in the market. And you're saying it's only made it as far as IB or CTS's server, not all the way to the exchange. Got it.
Right.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Right. And another feature, so I'm just going to go ahead and cancel these orders. Another feature is, let's say I want to enter just an OCO order. Okay, I have to add that to the menu. So I'm going to go to Global Settings, Customize, Chart Trade menu. Okay, so I'll add this one, OCO, Buy Stop, Sell Stop. So I'm going to right-click on the chart above the market, and I'll select OCO, Buy Stop, and Sell Stop. And then I'll move the pointer down below the market, and I'll click. Okay. Now, so we've got two stop orders, a Buy Stop and a Sell Stop. Oh, wait a second. Why does that? Oh, these actually, let me just uncheck. Use attached orders. That'll make it more. Otherwise, it's going to get too confusing. Okay, I'm going to select OCO, Buy Stop, and Sell Stop, and then I'll click down here. Okay, so we've got a Buy Stop order and a Sell Stop order. Now, this is in an OCO group, and I'll just click Yes. So these orders are now server-side as well, so when one of them fills, the other one is going to be canceled automatically. So if I were to exit from Sierra Chart, you can trust that these orders are working on a server-side OCO. And to, this is an actual setting that has to be enabled. So if you go to Global Settings, General Trade Settings, you can see here the option is Use Server-Side OCO and Bracket Orders. Okay, so that's checked off. Okay, let me just let me get the questions detached here and get through some of them so they don't start piling up. So, and one question is that a new kind of market depth bars on the right side of the chart? It's not new to Sierra Chart. We've had this for quite some time. And so this has been around a while in Sierra Chart, and it can be enabled through the trade menu. And this is the option draw DOM graph on chart right here. So if I uncheck that, it disappears, and then I'll go back to trade, and then I can enable draw DOM graph on chart. Okay, Michael is asking, what's required to enable CTS through Sierra? Is that enabled by CTS or my broker? Well, your broker will, they do need to enable the Sierra Chart application on your CTS account in order for Sierra Chart to be able to connect. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to move these questions out of the way. Do you see this, Mike, when I'm looking at the question board? Does that show up, or do you?
No, it's hidden from us.
Okay. I'm just going to move that out of the way. Now, another thing I'd like to show is that this has been around. We've supported this for some time, but I just want to point it out again. Okay, I clicked FS on the toolbar for find symbol, and we see here all of the various exchanges supported by CTS. So if I go to, for example, here, the CME equity futures, I'm selecting the one that says D30M. That means delayed 30 minute, because that's what this particular account has access to. It's a bit of trouble to get the live data with all the CME rules. That's kind of an annoyance, especially with development. I mean, especially when it's connected into their development server, that we get some odd pricing. So, like if I just, if I just select any of these particular futures markets, like let's just take the ES, okay? And if I click Get Additional Symbols, now that'll fetch from the CTS server all the available spread contracts for the ES, the ES contract, and they all list out here. So I can just choose one of these. Let's say I'll just pick this one, the spread between the December 2014 and March 2015. Okay, and then I can click Open Trading DOM to pull up a trading DOM for that particular spread. Let me just resize it. It's a bit tall. Okay, so then you can, I'm just clicking here in the middle on the scale, and I can move this up and down. So here's a spread market that can be traded. Just checking that question board. Which version of Sierra Chart I have to enable that on chart market depth? All the versions of Sierra Chart support this. You go to the trade menu, and it's this command right here, draw DOM graph on chart. The particular symbol and trading or data service you're using does have to support market depth, so that could be part of the problem. But you should still see at least two lines on the right indicating the best bid in the ask. Okay, and they found it. Okay, great. So so I've talked about the spreads. We haven't really. Another thing I want to talk about is enhancements to attached orders, but I haven't gotten around to getting that done. But we're going to add. I'll just tell you what we're going to do. Like for break-even stops, we're going to add two move to break-even levels. So once the first one is triggered, then there'll be another one you can that will be supported, and then there's another enhancement with like the step trailing stops. I have to kind of but there's just going to be like a little bit more flexibility with the configuration of the step trailing stops. Okay. So I've talked about the continuous futures contract feature. Okay, another neat feature is I'm going to go to the global settings menu, and then I'll select general settings. And we've got support now for text to speech alerts. So what you can do is you'll notice a box here that says text to speech WAV file creation. So this now the first thing you have to do though to use this is you'll have to go to the help menu, and then you'll need to select I'm not going to go there right now, but you need to go into the account control panel, and then you'll need to enable the text to speech WAV file creation on your account, and we charge 50 cents for one of those. That's because we have to pay the service we use for that. We have to pay for like every word that's converted. So we hope people start using it. We checked our records yesterday and no one's used it so far, so we we lowered the price to 50 cents. So let's just say I could type something like order filled in this box, okay, and then I can click, then I'll just go ahead and click create, and just a message pops up and it says that the file's been created, and I can then I'll just go ahead and hand type it. I can then type in order filled here .wave. Okay, so now this is actually a speech file that actually will say order filled. If I click test sound, then I hear order filled. I don't think you can hear it. Now there are different voices you can use. There's a bunch of them, probably like 20 or 30 of them, and then that's when you go to your account control panel, you can configure what the sound is, what particular voice that you want to use. Another feature is there's many features in Sierra Chart that use alert sounds. Studies support alert sounds. Like when an order fills, you can have like it generate an alert sound. On the main chart graph, you can set up alerts as well. Custom studies can, play alert sounds. So there's a lot of areas where alerts are used. So you can, we've got about 100 different alert numbers that can be configured, and those can be used throughout the program. Now, another thing you can do when an alert is triggered is enable send SMS when this alert is triggered. So you can just put in your mobile phone number here, and you'll get a text message with the alert text. And that is 5 cents a message. Okay, and I don't see any. Let me look at one question here. Is there an overview of what is supported server-side per vendor, or an overview? Okay, is there an overview of what is supported server-side per vendor? CTS will have other supported options. Where the Maker CQG or TT. Yeah, I mean, on our website, for each service that we support, whether it's CTS or any of the others, you can, on the page for that service, you can, it indicates whether server-side orders or server-side OCO is supported and whether server-side bracket orders is supported. Okay, another question is, for attached order, how can a standing stop order be converted into a trailing stop while the attached orders are activated, meaning we are in a position and take profit and stop orders are active? You cannot. You really just have to, let me cancel these orders out. You really just have to cancel those orders, and then you'll need to, there's an order type called, you'll have to then just reconfigure your stop order, or you can use a trade window configuration up at the top here. You can, if you have like a configuration that's includes the trailing stop, you can just select that, and then you would go down to, you can do this also by right-clicking on the chart if the command, appropriate command is added to the chart trade menu. But you would select probably something like attached orders position, and then you could probably click either the buy or the sell. It'll automatically, set the side correctly, and then you just basically you're just going to resubmit the attached orders separately. So they have to really be canceled and resubmitted, and the attached orders can just be sent on their own without a parent order. Okay. And we've been continuing to develop and enhance our new spreadsheet functionality. I'll go to the analysis menu and then select studies, and I'll go ahead and add the spreadsheet study. Okay. And I'll go settings, and for the name I'll just put today's date in. So it'll be 2014 10/23. I hope I'm running the yeah, I think I am. Hope I'm running the the non-CLR version with our new spreadsheets. Yes, I am. Okay, so so we've improved over the last month the performance significantly of the new spreadsheets, and we're going to continue to make performance improvements. This is not meant to be a comprehensive introduction to spreadsheets. We've done that in other webinars. But one nice thing we've added is, I'll just go back to the chart that the spreadsheet study has been added to. Well, let me just kind of just put something simple in, like I'll go ahead and like the K, I'll just do something simple, like I'll just say okay, so to edit the cell, I'll just click, and then I'll do I'll just say equals E3, and I'll click OK, and let me just actually enable something here. I'm going to go to the global settings, spreadsheet settings, and I'll enable recalculate chart on formula modify. I'm going to go back to the chart. I'll select chart and then recalculate. So this is really not much of a formula, but basically this formula just gets the last trade price and just graphs it out. So we just see a graph at the bottom that really is just equivalent to the last trade price at each bar. But if we go into the settings for the spreadsheet study, I'm going to right click and then select the study name. We've got a new input called output volume at price data, so I'm going to go ahead and set that to yes, and I'll explain how that works. So that should trigger a reload of the chart, and it did. Just having a look to see if there's any new questions. Not a lot of questions. Now if I go back to the spreadsheet, I'm just going to access it at the tab here at the bottom. Now the volume at price data, this is something people have asked for, so it's now outputted to the spreadsheet, and it shows up beginning at column BA. Okay, so I'm just having a look at, it's obviously, yeah, okay. I had to scroll over quite a long way to get to some data. But basically each column represents a price, okay, and each row represents a particular bar in the chart. So row 3 is actually the last bar, and then row 4 is the second before the last. So like for example, the last bar, what we can tell is the market has traded at 1945.75 and 1946, and this is the volume for each of those prices. So this is how you would read this data. So all the volume at price data is outputted and can be, can be viewed in this kind of format, or you could programmatically access it. I'm not so sure how easy it would be in a spreadsheet to access data in this kind of format, but it is outputted. But if it's difficult with what you need to do, if it's difficult to use this kind of format, you can always use our advanced custom study interface and language to access the data in a better format, in a more programmatic way.
Just so I understand, excuse me, you could dump all this out to an actual spreadsheet though as well, like an actual real CSV file, and then do analysis over like if I wanted to take a year of data and get value area high, value area low, point of control, that kind of stuff, I could do that.
Yeah, I mean, you would just go to the file menu, and then you could select save as, and then you can just choose the text format or CSV format, right. And then, yeah, you can just analyze, open it up in another program if you want.
Okay.
Okay, well, did another question just come in? Let's see. Okay, here's another question. When using the fractal study, the fractals are a bit too close to the bar. Is there a way to push them up or down? Let's have a look at that. Okay, so I'm going to go to Analysis Studies. Not sure if it's under the word fractals, or is it Bill Williams fractals? Okay. I don't think there's one called fractals on its own. No. So I'm going to go to the settings. Okay, I don't see any input settings there. Let's have a look at that. No, but we can add a percentage offset. That's not a problem. We can do that. Okay, here's another question. These seem to be showing up in an odd order. Okay, I think I've got it sorted properly now. Okay, so this question about the Renko, it just says, especially on the Renko, can I show multiple, or maybe he's asking if he can maybe offset those these fractal arrows on the Renko. Yeah, well, that can be done. We'll add a new input to that to offset it as a percentage or maybe as a number of ticks. So the next question is, can I show multiple symbols on the same graph? For example, show ES, TF, YM, NQ, ZN, ZB, all in the same graph for comparison purposes? Yes. Let's, for example, this chart here, I'm going to switch to it. This is a daily chart of the ES, and I'm going to switch to a daily chart of the YM. Now, the YM is not continuous, but I'll make it continuous. I'll click CS, and I'll go to Advanced Settings, and I'll do Date Rule Rollover, and I'll back adjust it. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll just make a Date Rule Rollover, and I'll click OK, and the data is being downloaded now. Should finish up in a few seconds. Okay, and it's all done. I'm going to go to the Chart menu, and I'm going to do Show Rollover Dates. Whenever you're enabling the Continuous Futures Contract option, it's always a good idea to go to Chart and then Show Rollover Dates, and then just have a look at it. You can then see that really makes it very clear where one contract ends and the next one begins. But this chart, you can see it's chart number 2, and let's go ahead and overlay on this one the ES daily chart, which is number 4. So I'll go to the study window. I just clicked SW up in the toolbar, and then I'll go to Overlay Single Line, and I'll click Add, and then I'll click Settings. And so the input data is just the last trade price. That's probably all we want to overlay. And then we'll select the ES daily chart, which is number 4. And then the multiplier, we'll just leave it at 1. The scale on this should be independent. Okay, it's independent. And the chart region, just so they're overlaid on top of each other, we'll select this as number 1. I just went to the subgraphs tab. I'll change it to some other color. I'll just use like this, kind of like this violet color. I'll just make it 2 pixels in width. So I'll click OK. And so now we have the, as an independent scale, the ES overlaid on this YM chart. And then I can just keep doing that for other charts. I have to first open them up.
Anthony, what's the difference between the study that you just used and there's one called, from memory, I think it's study price overlay or something like that. It starts with the word S, not O.
Right, right. That one is meant to primarily overlay studies from another chart, but the main difference is that one is meant to overlay the studies or a main price graph that from a chart that has a different time frame per bar. That has special mapping.
I see. So you could take it. Okay.
To match up.
Right. Sorry.
Otherwise, in this particular case, you just want to use like the overlay single line study. I think single line is easier because if you start putting a lot of bars on this chart, they might get kind of confusing looking at it.
No, I agree. It's just that it makes sense because for me personally with my charts, excuse me, I have a bunch of 1 second breadth analysis charts from IQ Feed that I overlay on all kinds of different time frames, 100K volume, daily, whatever. So now I realize that's probably why I'm using that one is because it was different time frames. Okay.
Right. So I'm just kind of pausing, just waiting for any questions. Or if you have anything you would like me to.
Yeah, I'll put you on the spot. Can I add a session VWAP to my DOME? You've got volume by price info, but what about VWAP?
VWAP. Let's see. I don't think we've allowed that to be added. No. So session VWAP. Yeah, we can allow that. It's not. I can't show it right now, but
yeah,
that would work.
I would like that.
Yeah. I think that would be, I just have to make sure, I don't know if we support a starting date time with that, but if we do, then we could automatically set it, or, yeah, I have to kind of look into that. That may take some, it may have to be changed so that it always shows, or it just add like an input to always show the current session. It would have, we'll look at that.
Okay.
Look at that.
Great. Yeah, it's one of the very good things about Sierra that I've always liked is that you're releasing. How many new releases do you have each month on average?
Well, it seems like we're doing a release like every 2 or 3 days, so it's
but I like that.
Do the math, like maybe 10 of them.
I mean, personally, I like the incremental changes. I mean, maybe it's hard for you guys. I don't know, but I like it that way.
No, it's just a lot of these releases are just small things. Maybe a little problem comes up, someone reports on the board, and we fix it, and we'll release it. And like another problem that came up is, and I really think this is some bug on the Windows side. It was the delimiter, the decimal point delimiter that was used. We use a decimal, an actual period as a decimal point delimiter, but for regions, some regions that's a comma, and a comma started to be used, in our historical daily data written to a file, and that just totally messed up the formatting. And I don't think it's any kind of bug in our own software. That would be pretty unusual. But that we had to kind of fix that up quickly, and that took a couple of revisions to do that. And then sometimes we run into problems with like a trading service where there's, sometimes services change things or there's some unexpected behavior and we have to quickly, patch those things.
Sure. Sure,
so
but
get very high priority.
But if someone asks, for example, for a session VWAP to be added to the DOM, I like that, you guys normally do incremental feature changes on a relatively short basis. It's always nice. So I'll put you on the spot some more. Are we ever going to see the ability to like click on a study on a chart and like copy that study to another chart, like, Control Z, Control V, or just drag it or whatever, move it around to another chart?
Well, probably not for a long time. I mean, there's a lot of work to do on that. But the area where we're going to get into next is the user interface, like the toolbar. This toolbar is actually kind of like a very simple Windows-based toolbar. When I say Windows-based, it kind of goes into the basic functionality of the Windows SDK. And then the tabs at the bottom, the navigation is just pretty basic. It's just, well, I don't see any navigation arrows because there's not enough tabs, but we're going to be working on the tabs and the toolbar and generally the whole user interface. We have to think about how we want to do that. And I'll start a thread on our support board asking for feedback.
That'd be great. That's great. I mean, I
do need to get off of this whole mic.
Yeah. Sorry, our audio's got a big delay. It's causing a problem. But I've said for a long time this Sierra has really got a fantastic core, but I was personally turned off from the cosmetic appearance, and then once you get into it, you can change it the way you like it. It just takes a little bit of work. So I think that you guys would do well to spend some time on the UI. There's a few more questions here. Jesus is asking about like a market replay type of capability, in particular with the DOM. Can you talk about that?
Right. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how this questions. I mean, I can sort by question and asker, but how by there it is, by received. Okay. Now I get a better view. Okay, now that makes sense. Okay, so how can I replay a session including the DOM? How often should I update the software, and which is the best way of doing it? Okay, so replay. Okay, only intraday charts can be replayed. Let me go to the YM chart. Oh, another thing too, this little window here we call the tool values window. You see me dragging. We've added a new option, global settings, general settings, and then if I go to general 3, it's use horizontal compact tool values window. I'll enable that, and now it's got a horizontal format, so it can be put maybe at the top of the chart or anywhere. And you can just put it up here, get it out of the way. That option, by the way, we're going to move it to tool settings. It's a more appropriate place for it. So replay is pretty easy. You just go to the chart menu, or actually I'll just click RPL on the toolbar, and that opens up the replay window. And to do a trading DOM, we have to open up a trading DOM. So if I go File, Open Trading DOM, okay, we already have the YM selected, so I'll just open Trading DOM. Okay, and let's see, if we're just going to replay today, well, let me just kind of actually go into detail on this. So let's say we want to replay a couple of days. You're going to need to select chart. I'm not sure this happens automatically, but let me just going to do it manually. You need to select chart settings, and you'll have to set, okay, this is already set to load 2 days, so if we want to replay the last couple of days, then we're loading enough data into the trading DOM. That data is actually not really loaded in right now, it's just, but it's set, it can support loading in 2 days if needed. it would be loaded in if you had like the volume by price study on the chart. Then the actual historical price data, price and volume data has to be loaded in. Okay, so find symbol. Okay, let me just get that out of the way. So what I would do is I would enable for all charts in Chartbook. Replay should just be standard, and we'll just replay that at 60 times. I'm just going to scroll then. So to replay, I just drag the chart back in time. I'll just drag it. So I've dragged it back close to about 10 o'clock, and then I'll just click the play button on this replay window. Okay, so since for all charts in Chartbook is enabled, that's going to replay all the charts, all the intraday charts, and that includes the trade DOMs as well. So I'll click play. It's asking me to clear the replay data. That's fine. It's going to put me in a trade simulation mode. That's fine. Okay, so we can see that this YM chart is replaying, and then I'll bring up the DOM as well, and now that's replaying as well. Okay, and they're both in sync with each other. It's kind of fast, but so that's how that's done. How often should I update the software, and what is the best way of doing it? You just update through the help menu. You would just want to use how often you should do it. Well, if everything's working fine, you don't need to update, but maybe you want to keep up to date every month would be good. So you just choose one of these commands. It would be usually download current version unless we instruct you to download pre-release. And if you have been using the spreadsheet functionality in Sierra Chart for a long time now, you're going to want to choose old spreadsheets. Or let me just say, if you've been using spreadsheets in Sierra Chart and you haven't migrated to the new spreadsheets, you're going to want to choose old spreadsheets. If you're a new user of Sierra Chart or you haven't been using spreadsheets, or you've already migrated to using the new spreadsheets, and you choose new spreadsheets. So it's still going to be a while yet, probably another 6 months before our new spreadsheets kind of get to a point really where the users of our old spreadsheets can really feel like feel like the new spreadsheets are up to a level where they're comfortable to migrate over.
Why is there new versus old? What happened?
I'm sorry, what was that again, Mike?
What changed? Why is there new versus old? What was the objective there?
Oh, well, the old spreadsheets is actually a component we didn't develop. It's like a component, a spreadsheet component we got, and we use in Sierra Chart. It's actually a .NET component, but that's not good enough for us because we don't have any control over it. We can't maintain it, and it can't really be customized as we need. We can sometimes get in real trouble with when we don't control all aspects of the program. I mean, if there's some bug in there, occasionally there are just some odd problems with it. Generally, the old spreadsheets are very good, but sometimes there's just like this odd problem where an exception occurs, and then someone restarts their system and it's gone, and it's just like we don't know what's going on. It's just something in .NET is something in the spreadsheet, and we don't know. If there's a problem, we want to understand it, and we want to fix it. So we develop our own spreadsheets, and that's quite a lot of work. And they're very good now. Most of the functionality is in there, and the performance is good. So we're really almost there. And people can start to migrate over their spreadsheets, to the new spreadsheets now. And if there's any problems, they should let us know. So as far as bringing Sierra Chart to other platforms, well, we're going to be working on supporting the Mac and Linux, but that's kind of a long-term project. I mean, we're working on it now gradually. But as far as like a tablet, we don't really have any plans for that right now. Are there plans to improve the session times functions? PitGlobeX, Ninja has very advanced session management. Sierra is more basic. Well, not especially, but I'm not sure exactly, George, what you're asking about session. As far as adding like more sets of session times, I mean that really is very complex because session times are quite complex already. So there's just 2 sets of them, but as far as what else you're looking for, it's not completely clear. you can define, if you go to the edit menu and you select symbol settings, actually you can also get that through the global settings menu. You can, for any symbol, you can, oh, this is a neat feature too. I should really talk about this. So we've, for just about a year now, we have released our own data feed, and we provide data from various markets. We provide cash indices, U.S. equities, CME futures, Eurex futures, futures from the Life and Euronext. So we've got our own data feed, and so if you want to use like our data feed instead of the CTS data feed, it's a good data feed, but if you were to want to use our data feed, that's available. It's $35 a month plus the exchange fees. If you have a trading account, like the CME exchange fee is $3.25 a month without market depth, and $15 a month, or $15.75 a month with depth. But if you want to get the cash indices, we have all of these. For example, like if you want the get the streaming prices for the Dow Industrials, you could use our data feed, and this would be like you pay $35 a month plus you pay the exchange fee for the Dow indices, Dow Jones indices, and that's $3.25 a month. But what I was going to say is, for every symbol or symbol pattern, you can set up the session times as you require, and therefore whenever you open a chart, these times will be applied to the chart.
Another thing that I really like is the ability.
Next question is in study setting.
Is the ability to set the chart times, so you can set them all to exchange time regardless of your time zone. It's very handy.
Right. Well, yeah, that exists. So like if I go down to the ES futures. Like let's say I choose this symbol, then I go to intraday. You can choose the time zone, like you can choose Chicago time, and then set up the the exchange times for the symbol, and that'll automatically be translated to the Sierra Chart time zone. But the thing is that if you then change the time zone in Sierra Chart, the chart's session times won't update, and we'll have to see about supporting that. So that's going to make it easier. Okay, so the next question is so it's about a study. So let me just go ahead and add a study like ADX. So in study settings, alert, there are, okay, let me go ahead and open the settings. So in alert, there are 5 lines for conditions. Could that be extended to 15 or more? I'm just going to put some numbers here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, you can use a lot of lines, but I think the idea is that you can't see them all. Yeah, I mean that's simple. We'll go ahead and just enlarge that text box since there's so much space here. So yeah, we'll just we can easily double the size of that box. Or JD is asking for it to be tripled. So yeah, we can make that a lot bigger. There's no problem. Tim's asking, is there a limit of characters you can use for alerts? Yes, there is. I'm not quite sure what the limit is, but it's might be like 256 or something. And yes, it can be extended, but that's not very simple for us to do. But we'll keep that in mind. Yeah, and Tim is saying it's about 4 to 5 lines, and yeah, that's probably about right.
So, Anthony, I've got a
just waiting for you. Go ahead.
Got a question for you.
Sure.
Personally, I run 2 copies of Sierra. One is using my charts for IQ feed, and then I've got another one that just has my domes with my broker. Is there any plan? I mean, it's not like it's a problem or anything, but is there any plan to ever put that together, or what was the thought process of separating it like that? I mean, it's just different than other platforms out there. It seems to work. I just want to understand if it's technical reason or if you ever plan to change it. Or
Yeah, well, so that has already been solved. I mean, in a way, like if you want to use, so I assume you're using IQ feed because you want a better data feed than the data feed from your broker, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right. So we have solved that. I mean, we have our own integrated data feed, which can be accessed in the same instance or copy of Sierra Chart that you're using with your broker, and the data from our data feed, the Sierra Chart Exchange. It's called the Sierra Chart Exchange data feed. That just replaces the data feed from your broker for the exchanges you have activated on your Sierra Chart account. Now, as far as like IQ feed, so so I'll just say can have a look at using our data feed instead of IQ feed, but as far as like, it's not that there was like an intentional design decision to like have to use 2 separate copies of Sierra Chart to combine data from like one data service and use it like with a trading service. Sierra Chart was originally designed to connect to one service at a time, and supporting multiple services at a time is, that's not so simple, especially back in the old days when there were these miserable API components being used, and I'm not afraid to say that, where there's these proprietary black box components that run within the address space of our program and crash it and have all kind of odd behavior. We've gotten away from all of that. Sierra Chart just uses direct connections to all the services now. There may be a bridge program. In a couple of cases, there's a bridge program you use, but that just runs as a separate process. So it's really more a case of just how things were originally designed. Now, our own data feed is integrated with other data feeds. But that's kind of because that kind of just uses like a standardized protocol, right, the DTC protocol, to connect to our server, and then the DTC protocol runs like as a subservice.
Well, the only reason it really makes any difference to me is because on my dome I happen to use volume by price, and since my broker happens to be Interactive Brokers, that's not a very high quality feed, right? So I don't want their data, so I want my dome to have high quality volume by price data, but also have broker orders, obviously. Right. So I end up having to do the whatever you guys call it to share the data across the platforms and all that. I mean, everything works.
Right, and that's been solved, Mike. You just subscribe to our own data feed. It's not that we're not making any money on that data feed. That's provided through like from Barchart. They're the vendor of record. They host our. It is our data feed because it's running our hardware and our software, but it's hosted in their data center, and they're the vendor of record, and they control all the back-end authorizations. So you could just use, just turn our data feed on. I mean, it's $35 a month plus the $3 for the CME, and that solves it. But you do have to pay extra for that. But you probably use IQ feed for other things. Just want to use that and don't want to spend the $35. And yeah, it's just that we have to. The IQ feed interface would have to be developed as a subservice, and then mapping has to all be set up. And we've done all that with the DTC protocol in our own data feed, so it's just yeah, it can be done. I mean, the capability to do that does exist, but it has to all be set up.
Yeah, I mean, I was just asking if there's any like
Yeah.
plan in the future, this grand plan. You talked about maybe looking at the UI. You talked about Mac Linux support. I mean, obviously it's like a major structural change to add multiple account handling into the platform.
Yeah. Well, we do support multiple accounts. I mean, already multiple trading accounts.
I mean, multiple technologies under the same instance.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it does work through the DTC protocol. Like if we were to, I mean, probably the way as I think about it, the way that we would approach it is we would just create a bridge program for IQ Feed that uses DTC, and then you could and it wouldn't require any changes within Sierra Chart. And then Sierra Chart, since we already have what's called a DTC subservice, support for a DTC subservice, then
right.
you could then choose IQ Feed as a subservice.
Right.
So if we were to make that a bridge program, and then of course there's the symbol mapping which has to be set up. So maybe we could add like under global settings. I mean, you actually don't really see this now, but there's another tab in here. Well, we see it in our development builds. It's like the symbol mapping for the Sierra Chart data feed. So maybe we could expose that, then you could always just change it to use IQ Feed settings or something like that. So, I mean, it's all in there, Mike. It's just a matter, it's just kind of restricted to the Sierra Chart feed.
George has a good question.
It does require us to go.
Yeah, don't worry. I mean, it all works the way it is. I was just thinking, what your plans are. I wanted to pick your brain.
Yeah.
George is asking. He says, one of the unique features in Sierra is the ability to combine multiple studies without scripts. Can you demonstrate this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like subtract A from B. Right. I'm just thinking of an example. Yeah, I can just create just like something really simple. Well, just want to talk about the Sierra Chart data feed. I mean, so we have a lot of people running that right now. It's like 300 users, and so we, many people are just, to get a better feed, they are, they can just they are using our data feed, and it's fully integrated with their broker all in one instance. So. So for many people, we've solved it. But yeah, if you do want to use IQ Feed, that is a limitation. So let's see. If I go moving average simple, I'll add that, and then we can do something like do like study subgraph add. Well, so let's just say I want to add like 1 point, or let's just say we add 10. This is that YM. Let's say we just add 10 points to it. So input data is open. Okay, we have to base that on the moving average simple. Input data, so amount to add, then I'll just make that like 10. Just increase that to 2 pixels, just use just a different obvious color. Okay, so let me change the region it's displayed in. So
I mean, I use
what
this.
have we got here?
Sorry, I use this extensively. I've got like a million of these things to where it's really actually pretty difficult to keep track, but I use it mainly for breadth. Okay, so I'm using like 1 second breadth from IQ Feed on an independent chart, and then I will do something with that. So I will, accumulate it, or I will add multiple breadth together and do some type of a multiplier, or whatever, and then I'll do a study overlay from that chart onto other charts. I use that all the time. It's great. But it is sometimes, at least for me, difficult to remember and keep track of all the relationships between all the different charts. They can get a little hectic.
Right. So what we've done here is we've added, I added a moving average study. That's the green line. Then I've just added 10 to it, and that's this violet colored line. And another question from Hal is it possible to create buttons like an IRT to perform certain actions, hide a few studies at a time or something? Not toolbar buttons, but you can certainly create study collections which consist of groups of studies and their configuration that you can just apply quickly through the analysis menu. So like this one here, like Ichimoku, it's a group of studies to do the Ichimoku. And if you want to hide some studies, you could then create another study collection. Or, well, actually what you would do is you could just hide, go into the study window and hide the studies that you want, and then resave the study collection under a different name, and then switch between them from the analysis menu. And we could always add toolbar buttons to as another shortcut for these items, but they're easily accessed right off the analysis menu.
So while we're naming requests, I have a small one on the daily, or not really daily, but the I'm trying to find the exact name, the trade activity log. There's a export option, but it's just like it's not a CSV, it's not formatted, or there's a copy all option, but it doesn't retain the formatting. If that was easy, I would like to see that personally.
So if we go to the trade activity log, if you go to File, Save As, I mean that saves it as tab delimited. It'll save the current tab. I mean when I say tab, the tab, I'm referring to these tabs like trade activity, trade statistics. And when I say it's tab delimited, it's a tab character delimited.
Okay. Well, okay. I didn't look that close, perhaps, but it seemed like it was really, really garbled on the formatting. It just lost all the formatting to make it really, really difficult to manipulate in another program. I'll look at it again. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, save it as a text file, and it's a tab delimited. The characters or the fields are all tab delimited. Mm-hmm. And if you just open that up within a spreadsheet, it should look just like you see it here. The column, the first line is going to be the field names, and
okay, I'll take another look.
It should be the same order here, and it should look just like this. I tend to think if that wasn't working right, we'd be hearing about it. And we do occasionally get trade activity log files sent to us.
Right.
And when we do open them up in a spreadsheet program, and it works fine. But if there's a problem, that's easy enough. I mean, that should work just fine. There shouldn't be any trouble with that at all. So just save like one of the tabs. I mean, it's I don't know.
I think what happened is I saved it as a file, then I opened it in Notepad to take a look, and I didn't see commas. And I guess whatever program I used wasn't doing the tabs properly, and I didn't realize it was tab delimited, so that's probably what happened.
Yeah, I mean, Windows Notepad is a whole other thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's surprising Microsoft hasn't done any more work on that. I mean, it could even be the terminator at the end of each line is just a single new line character, and Notepad is not going to put a line break there. It's just going to be one line after another, and it's just going to look like a mess. This is going to look like a big, this whole block of text. Yeah. But it should look pretty good when you open it up like in Excel.
Okay, thanks.
Or,
Okay, so let's see. Any other questions, guys? Anything else you want to talk about, Anthony?
Sorry, Mike, I just was muted. Well, I've covered it. There's a lot of there's lots of development we do every day, and I highlighted a few of the main items and talk about some of the items. Some of the items we're going to be working on. Trying to think if there's anything major new we've done. I mean, we've been working a lot on spreadsheets. We've got a lot of. Let me go to customized trade DOM columns. We've done work on that. We've added some new columns. We've got like the recent bid volume. That's not that new, but that's in here. Recent bid volume, recent ask volume. We've got current traded bid volume, current traded ask volume, current traded total volume. So these are some new fields that have been added that can be put on at the trading DOM. Yeah, and I'm not totally sure what those do. I'd have to have them put them on and look at them, but we'll have to document those. But we've got a lot of columns people have been asking for, and you've asked for like the volume weighted average price to use it on a trading job for the current session.
Yep. Okay. I don't see any other questions, so we can stop it here. And I just want to say that anybody that wants to try out Sierra, they can go to your website. I don't even know this, and I probably should. Is there a free trial, or how does that work?
Right, a 15-day trial, a 2-week trial.
Okay. Okay, cool. Or they can check with their broker, because I'm sure some brokers are doing it
right.
discounts or whatever. So.
Right.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Anthony. I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on, answering our questions, and talking about the new stuff.
Sure thing. Thank you, Mike. And,
all right, guys.
Thanks to CTS as well.
Yeah. Yep. All right. I'll post the recording on BMT sometime tomorrow, and I'll see everybody on the forum. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Okay. Bye now.